for Lance, north of 40%, and that'll go up after that. And that's the 8th strikeout of the night for Lance McCullers Jr.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome into the bullpen. Myself, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you here until, I guess we'll go until 2 o'clock. I don't know if we get to make our own rules, but I guess we'll go to 2 o'clock. It's nice to have a show today because last week we were supposed to have a show, and then I was an old man and I couldn't get down my stairs because my back had been thrown out. So thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for not throwing your back out so we could do a show today. How you gentlemen doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
You no comments about what I said?
I just glad you're okay.
That's very kind of you. You missed this. You weren't here yet. I almost killed Johnny when I got to the station today.
Do tell.
So I came into the studio and John, even though I don't think anyone was here, was editing with the door closed.
I was focused.
He was focused. That leads to how I almost killed him. So he has the door closed and he's editing. Were you editing stuff for Gene or for this show?
Yeah, for Gene.
For Gene. Okay. So he's editing, doors closed. And I simultaneously, slapped at the door handle and kicked it so I could kick it open. Because you can't kick these doors open because of the way the handle is. But I slapped it and kicked the door at the same time, and I think Johnny nearly had a heart attack.
Were you scared?
Yeah, it was close.
He was clutching his chest here for a few seconds.
Oh man,
I felt bad.
Set the life alert off.
Yeah. No, yeah.
He
almost fell and he couldn't get up.
Between the missed show last week and then you doing that to me this week, I think you owe me lunch or something like that.
Well, I can't buy lunch for a dead man, so
here.
Day's not over. We'll see what happens. All right, let's get into the Astros, who have had a few things going on for them in their favor. I would say recently. It's starting with, of course, Lance McCullers Jr., who had an up and down, well, actually not even really up and down, mostly down season, although there were 2 starts where the earned run total was low, but he didn't really pitch well. But a pretty encouraging start on Thursday night against the Mariners in the Astros' big win in the opening game of that series. A season-high 8 strikeouts, including 14 swings and misses. Before we get into the actual stats of what he did, Cam, what your overall thoughts on this latest start from Lance McCullers Jr.?
Yes, Brian.
What?
I don't know. No, I mean it was a good sign. We obviously in the first game of the year for him, even though he didn't go deep into the game, it was a relatively good first start in almost 2 years, and then obviously
his last start before this comeback was Game 3 of the World Series in 2022.
Yeah, then obviously his last start he got molly-whopped. But obviously this was a really good showing by McCullers and a really good sign. I mean, I'm still not going to hop on the I'm not going to say the McCullers bandwagon because I still have my reservations about him, but he has performed better these first 3 games that I thought that he would.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing, like as I mentioned, the first start and his 3rd start of the year, this last game was his 4th start. Like if you just look at the stat board and didn't watch, or the scoreboard in the stat page and didn't watch the game, like his earned run total allowed was pretty good. Like there was, I think the game before this, it was 2 runs allowed, but neither one of them were earned. But it was that one game against Cincinnati in the second start where he got only 1 out in the entire game and gave up 7 earned runs, which
Cincinnati.
Just obviously is painting. I think that's painting our overall impression of Lance post-return, because that start was so bad. And when you only have 4 starts, it's also going to inflate all your slash line numbers, your ERA, your whip, all those things. And to that point, so 4 starts in, if you take out that start against Cincinnati where he only got 1 out and gave up 7 earned runs, his ERA for the season will be 150.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, now the negative is he hasn't reached the 5th inning yet. Like he hasn't completed. Well, he started the 5th inning, but he hasn't completed 5 innings yet. His longest outing so far is 4 1/3. In part because he's still walking too many batters. In fact, of his 4 starts, the only start where he didn't walk at least 3 batters was the one where he only got 1 out.
Oh, great.
Yeah. And these aren't, like, if you pitch 8 innings and walk 3 guys, that's one thing. But we were pitching 4 1/3 and walking 3 guys. I mean, that's a part of the story of why he can't get to that 5th inning completed because he's walking 3 guys. So I think that's something to watch for as much as we're encouraged by the swings and misses, and I want to dig into that in a second. I think the thing to watch with Lance, and really this was true early in his career too, before the injury started racking up, like he's had control issues, and that has continued since he came back.
Yeah, and that was one of the main things that I was when we were talking about our excitement for McCullers coming back was I need to see stretches of over 5 innings. And now I know he's going to be on like
I wouldn't hold your breath.
I know he's going to be on a pitch count, and I know those walks are going to make it incredibly hard. But that's why I'm still not hopping on the McCullers he's back thing, because I need to see more than 5 innings, because if you're not giving me that, then I don't understand why. I mean, obviously we need starting pitching help because
You're down 2. I mean, I don't think we have the official news on Blanco, but come on, he's out for the year.
Yeah, so I mean,
and Wes Nesky we know is out for the year.
You at this point you need McCullers, but until you're giving me 5 or 6 innings every game,
Here's the sad reality, Cam. Like right now, until Eric Getty gets back, which probably 1st of July, around there, because he hasn't even started pitching yet, and he's going to have to go through like his own spring training, probably 3 or 4 minor league rehab starts. And even before that, he's going to have to throw off a mound. He's going to have to do long toss and all that. I mean, Lance is probably your 3 starter right now. That's where that is the state of the Astros rotation, for better or for worse, currently.
which is odd because 2 years ago, if you said Lance was your 3rd, you'd be like, "Holy hell, what a starting rotation!"
Great. Yeah,
but now it's just kind of like, "Oh, Jesus Christ!"
Yeah, like 2022, he didn't pitch a lot because that year he didn't get back till August. But the 8 starts he had in the regular season when he came back that year in 2022, his ERA was under 3.
Yeah,
he's pitching great. It's just we know what happened in the World Series, and then obviously we know what's happened in the time between. Johnny, what is your overall impression so far of Lance?
Encouraged. I think is probably where I'm at, because I don't know how much you can actually expect from a guy that hadn't pitched in 3 years or 2.5 years, whatever it comes up to, and for him to go out there, he's got you're correct. The walks are high. Every time I look at the screen when he's pitching, there's runners on base, and drives me crazy. Right? He hasn't been consistent with that, but the strikeouts are encouraging. The breaking pitches are encouraging. Like, it looks like he's right back into the swing of what he really does. And I just think at this point it's just reps. How can you expect somebody that's that rusty to 3 starts in to be lighting it up? I'm encouraged. I'm not, obviously he's not back yet, but I'm encouraged.
You don't want to give us the Texas is back, but for Lance McCullers, you don't want to give us that soundbite that we can play over and over again. Johnny, you led me right into where I wanted to go next. You mentioned like the breaking pitches, and I think that's really the difference. Now, I have concerns, and we'll dig into it, about how repeatable it is, how sustainable it is. But I think that was the big difference why we saw Lance go from, okay, well, he only gave up, a couple of runs, but he didn't look that great, to, oh my God, he struck out 8 guys in only 4 1/3 innings. And that was the percentage, or the picks Mitch that he was using to make up, his start. Like before, he's always been a heavy sinker guy. He was relying a lot on the changeup, and the changeup's been okay, but the sinker and the fastball, which he doesn't use the fastball as much, have just been getting hammered. Guys are absolutely crushing it, and we saw it even in this last start. I forget the Mariners player, but the home run that the Mariners hit to make it 2-0. Dude hit it. Dylan Cruz, is that his name? Dylan something. He hit it like 430 feet off the center field wall. Just absolutely smoked it. I mean, that sinker was 91 miles an hour in the middle of the zone with no movement. It's just absolutely batting practice. But here's the thing.
Get what you asked for.
Now Lance has made the adjustment. He had 3 starts going into this game on Thursday, and he adjusted to a more slider and curveball heavy mix. Of his 91 pitches, 55 were curveballs and sliders on Thursday. Like, he's going heavy curve, heavy slider, and we've seen it be effective. He had 14 swings and misses in that game on Thursday. 11 were on the slider or the curveball. Got none on the fastball or the sinker.
That is the concern for me, because of all the curveballs and off-speed pitches that he was throwing that you could argue led to his injuries.
Part of it, for sure.
That is what he's doing again to be effective. Like, if that fastball is not clicking, and all you're doing is off.
No,
speed
it's getting
pitches,
crushed.
people are going to wait for it, and you are going to get crushed, and then you're going to blow your arm out again.
Yeah, so I mean all the the advanced stats like paint the same picture. Like you look at his exit velocity on the slider and the curve versus the fastball and the sinker, it's 10 miles an hour apart. Like the fastball and the sinker are getting hit like 95 miles an hour is like the technical classification for a hard hit, and they're both right at that, like 94 miles an hour. Whereas the curveball and the slider, much lower, 10 miles an hour. Same thing with like expected slugging percentage. His expected slugging percentage on his fastball, guys, is over 1,000.
That's terrible.
1.036. For comparison, Aaron Judge is slugging 754.
That's like home run derby.
300 points higher.
That's like the guy throwing you the pitches in the home run derby.
It really is. Whereas when you look at the expected slug on his curveball, 393. I mean, that's amazing. That's like slugging like Martin Maldonado, and a slider is at 419. So, but you pointed on like while I'm encouraged that both Lance and the Astros are like, hey, your slider and your curve are way better. Throw those more. Throw the fastball and the sinker less. That's great. It resulted in a pretty good outing on Thursday night. I share your concern though, Cam, because like you're a dude with arm problems, and if you were having to live off of curveballs and sliders, like how long is that sustainable for a guy who's had 2 Tommy John surgeries?
It's not. It sounds exactly like a relief pitcher. Sounds like
he can't be a relief pitcher.
Yeah, because you're paying him I was about to say a bad word. You're paying him a crap ton of money.
Were you about to say an F load?
Yeah.
You're about to make Johnny have another heart attack here. We can't give him 2 on one show, man.
I mean, you obviously you can't use him as a reliever because of what you're paying him.
I wasn't even saying because of the money. I don't think his arm can withstand. Okay, getting warmed up. Oh, I'm not being used. Getting warmed up. I'm not being used. Getting warmed up. Like he needs every 5th day. This is exactly what I'm doing. No exceptions. Like I don't think he can withstand. Like if you put him in the bullpen, I think the only thing he could do would be like a scheduled 3-inning piggyback. But what is that really worth? Because he's basically just a 3-inning quasi starter that day.
Hey, if the Peacock can do it, McCullers can do it.
We're comparing to Brad Peacock. Astros
Brad
great.
Peacock had to deal with being reliever,
great.
starter, reliever,
but
long reliever.
Look, I'm not saying this because, Lance shouldn't have to lower himself to being a reliever. I'm not saying it because of that. I'm just saying, I don't think his arm can. If you want Lance's arm pitching for you, I think it's only as a starter. John, looks like you got a thought.
I mean, if I'm being real here, we all love Lance McCullers, but I don't think the Astros want Lance McCullers pitching for them after 2026.
No, they don't.
So I understand the worry of it. I just don't think it's going to be one of those worries that the Astros are going to have to worry about because they're not going to keep him after 2026 anyways.
So you're saying this kind of like when you have a running back reaching the near the end of his contract, we'll just run his legs off.
That makes me sound like a real jerk.
Yeah,
but
it does.
But like Frank Gore.
Yeah, exactly. Run his legs off. It's the next team's problem.
Well, no, that's
throw his arm off. It's the next team's problem.
Frank Gore was a monster. That was not a.
You know what Frank Gore? Just a quick aside. We'll have to get the break and carry the Altuve conversation over to the next segment. But you know where Frank Gore ranks on the all-time career rushing yards list?
Yeah, he's like top 5, isn't he?
Yes, but better. He's 3rd.
Yeah, I was gonna say
he's the 3rd leading rusher of all time.
And we never talk about Frank Gore.
Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, Frank Gore.
Yeah.
Longevity, baby.
It's Frank Gore isn't eligible for the Hall of Fame yet. He hasn't been out 5 years because he played till he was 70. But it's hard to say the 3rd leading rusher of all time can't get into the Hall of Fame. But was he ever great outside of those first few years in San Francisco? He just hung on forever.
Yeah, but
I'd have to look at the year by year. But maybe I'm misremembering. But he was really good early in his career in San Francisco. But after that, he was just stat compiling and hanging on.
That's true. But I think that speaks volumes because we've seen. I mean, I know we don't want to go off on a tangent of elderly running backs, but we've seen a lot of running backs after 5 or 6 years just fall off the face of the earth. And this dude, teams still wanted him.
I know
he was still relatively productive for what he could give teams.
If I'm being honest, I'd rather have Frank Gore today than Dameon Pierce.
I would absolutely take Frank Gore right now.
All right, we got to go to break. On the other side, when we return on the Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5, we will talk about Jose Altuve. If you want to join in on that conversation, and talk about Lance, talk about Jose Altuve possibly turning around, give us a call on the HRMP listener line at 713-780-3776. Brian, Cam, John here with you today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
That's here with 2 outs. And
Oh, yeah.
Did he do it again? You better believe it. Jose Altuve. A 2-home run game. Making up for lost time, and the Astros lead 8-2.
That the voice of Kevin Eschenfelder filling in for Todd Callis on Space City Home Network during the Astros 9-3, 9-2 win over the Mariners on Thursday night. Jose Altuve, I mean, people were having the conversation. I mean, myself included. We had it on the Killer Bees probably a few times, having the conversation of like, okay, I mean, is it possible Father Time is now clinching up with Jose Altuve? But Altuve's responded with a multiple hit game to in the Rays series. He had the 2 home run game on Thursday, and then obviously 3 hits last night against the Mariners in a 5-3 loss for your Houston Astros. So, look, I think because of his age, people are going to immediately rush to try to bury Jose Altuve whenever he has a slump, right? I think that's natural. The dude's what, 34, 35. So whenever the people did this to Brady for years, like how many years ahead of Brady's actual retirement where we seeing like, okay, now the Patriots are done, and then they won like 2-3 more Super Bowls.
Yes.
And then he goes on and wins the Super Bowl with the Bucks. I remember articles at least like 2017 saying Brady was done. They win the Super Bowl in 18. And obviously, he wins one with the Bucks in 20. So I think people are going to rush to bury Altuve, but certainly bouncing back last night, Cam, or last night and the night before.
Never hate on your short kings.
Are you saying that as a short king? Is that what you're saying? You got his back because not only is he a great baseball player headed to the Hall of Fame, but
yes.
he's the inspiration to all short kings.
Us vertically challenged folk
There you go.
have to stick together. What do y'all want from him? He switched positions for the team. Now because he's not crushing the ball, everybody wants to hate on Altuve.
So I was curious because we would have these conversations, pretty much every year for Alex Bregman about, well, he sucks right now, but we know he's not good until it becomes June. So like, just relax. When the calendar turns over to June, when we start hearing tropical storm warnings, Alex Bregman will be fine, right? That was always the Alex Bregman timeline.
Well, except for this year.
Except for this year, because Boston apparently has better hitting coaches than the Astros do, and they figure out a swing. But I was curious if something like that did exist for Jose Altuve as well. And when I was looking at his career splits, something popped up to where now we're still in the month of May, but when you look at May for Jose Altuve, and this is going all the way back to the beginning of his career, 2011. I looked at his career split, so this is factoring every year, not just recently. May is his lowest home run total for any month of the year. May is his lowest batting average month for any month of the year. It's his second lowest OPS month for any month of his career, and it's the month with the most grounded into double plays of any month of his career. For some reason, May has just been a kryptonite for Jose Altuve. He starts hot, he backs off, and then he explodes again. And now we're May 24th. This hot streak starting a couple of days ago. I think this just may be not Father Time, but Jose Altuve, for whatever reason, slumps in May. I don't know what's
Cinco
going
de Mayo.
Yeah. Oh, okay. That comes. He's not even Mexican. He's Venezuelan.
We all celebrate.
Okay, that's fair. We all Cinco de Drinko. That's true.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie. I was a little nervous about what he was doing offensively, but
so you thought it might be Father Time?
Maybe. But
so you weren't sticking up for your short kings.
Always
Short king fraud.
How dare you?
Fraud, Cam Smith.
I'm gonna stone this man.
But that's aggressive.
I also hey. I also think that there's more of a microscope on him this year because Jordan's out. Christian Walker can't do diddly poop. We've seen Bregman go. We've seen Kyle Tucker go. So I think that if this was any other
Diaz
year,
has been terrible.
Yonder Diaz has been terrible. I think if this was any other year with the same stats, we wouldn't be like, oh, Altuve's really struggling. Father Time's catching up to him. Like he's about to skip the line at Luby's. But I think because of what
Luby's catching strays.
Because I think of what this team is made up of, and the fact that again Jordan's out and Christian Walker's not doing anything. I think there's more of a microscope on what he's doing. But like you said, May is obviously the worst month of his entire career. So
yeah, I have no explanation for it. But the numbers, I mean, this is not like a 2-year sample size. This is going back to 2011, his rookie year. Lowest batting average, fewest home runs, second lowest OPS, most ground into double plays. Like, I don't know. It's just there's something about May with Jose Altuve. But John, what have you thought of Altuve this year? And do you think he's actually starting to turn it around? Are you with me on that?
I mean, I think I'm with you on it. This week has been particularly good for him compared to recent the recent stretch before this. But maybe it's a little bit of both. You talk about the May thing. I think that's kind of an outlier. We have fun with it, Cinco de Mayo,
it's
whatever.
14 years.
It's 14 years, but like maybe it's just this is that time of the season where you're now a couple months into it. You're starting to get in the dregs of the season. Once you get closer to the playoffs, maybe it picks up. Maybe it's just that month. I don't know. I think that's more of an anomaly. I think what you're going to see, we've maybe seen it a little bit last year. We've definitely seen it this year, and you'll see it going forward, is like more inconsistency from Altuve. He'll still do Altuve things, but he also is getting old. So you're going to find like you see both of those things, like maybe more stretches of dips, more, strikeouts. I don't know what that turns into, but heck, he also defies it too. Like last night, that arm came to life. He threw somebody out at the plate from left field. So, I think you'll see like it'll start to trend that way, but we still got a couple more good years of Altuve.
Age is just a number, and a number is just a number. And Jonathan, I like that you brought up that throw. Great. Yeah, he did throw somebody out.
Mm-hmm.
But let's keep in mind that what's that dude's name? Kyle Riley?
No, don't take away the credit from Altuve here. Don't discredit it.
Who you trying to?
Who he threw out?
Oh, yeah, I don't remember.
I think it was.
Is arguably one of the slowest.
Oh, the big dumper, Kyle Riley. Yeah.
And he should have never ran around third base. So you're right. I'm not going to take away from Altuve. Altuve still did throw him out by a mile, but
it was the big dumper.
It was, yeah. I mean, my ass could have thrown him out.
I think you could have too. But I'm just trying to give Altuve a little bit
of
credit.
No. And
what I'm hearing is John Belmer more of an ally to short kings than Cam Smith.
Yeah,
here John is.
I'm only 5'9". I'm part of the show. I'll call myself part.
Usually,
of the
BMAC is the one making fun of people, especially short people. But now John is doing it.
No, John was on his side. You're over here nitpicking his outfield assist.
Oh, you're right. You're right. We're besties again. Sorry.
All right. So I'm very encouraged with Jose Altuve. I mean, obviously it's an extremely small sample size, but I think there's a lot.
Extremely small, huh?
I wasn't even intending to do that, but you know what? I'm going to go with it. He is a wee man. Yes, he's a wee man. All right. If you want to get your thoughts in on Lance McCullers and Jose Altuve, give us a call or text on the HRP listener line 713-780-3776. Brian, Cam, and John here with you. But let's go over to some of the other Astros and check in with them, get a little bit of a vibes check about what's going on with some of these guys. Cam, you mentioned a minute ago the struggles of Christian Walker. Let's start off with the negative there with Christian Walker, because he actually started, and maybe this is a reason to pause on the Altuve enthusiasm, but he started the month of May, Christian Walker, that is, pretty hot, brought his batting average up from 198 to 225 with 8 hits with a hit in 8 out of the 9 games through that stretch. But since May 11th, the Astros' last 12 games, Christian Walker is hitting 106, 5 of 47. I mean,
Is that bad?
We were killing Jose Abreu for hitting like 160.
I was just about to bring up the fact that he's worse. He's literally worse than what Abreu was.
He's not just worse than Jose Abreu. He's far worse than Jose Abreu. At least in this, maybe not over the entire season, he's worse than Jose Abreu. But in this stretch, last 12 games, 106 batting average.
I swear to God, they don't know. It's almost like Nick Casario, an offensive lineman. The Astros in first base,
right?
I do not,
or at least a veteran first baseman. Well, they got the Yuli Gurriel thing, right? He was a veteran first baseman, but ever since then, like they tried to trade for Trey Mancini, he couldn't hit.
Matt Dominguez, Chris Carter.
Oh, now you're going back a little ways.
John Singleton,
yeah.
I mean, dear God, 6 out of the last 7 first basemen have been.
What's Bagwell doing? I know he's in the booth sometimes. I know he can't throw, but I'm kidding.
Speaking of not throwing,
but I mean,
towards the end of his career.
What do you guys? I mean, it feels like a silly question because they paid the man, but we just did this with the last first baseman. What do you guys think the leash is for Christian Walker? I mean,
way longer than Jose Abreu.
Well, Jose Abreu got a year in 2 months?
Yeah,
because it was about this time last year where he got sent to Florida before eventually being released.
Because well, one, Christian Walker's a little younger, and 2, eventually this is going to run out of steam, but I get that he's still hitting balls hard.
Yeah, his barrel percentage, his bat speed, like some of those metrics are all still fine, but we said the same thing about Jose Abreu and trying to justify, like when he signed here, and people were like, oh, he only hit 15 home runs. It dropped off by like 10 or whatever it was from the year prior. But like, yeah, but look, the barrel rate, the hard hit percentage, the bat speed, they're all still there. And then what happened?
Well, he also had the Johnny Depp beard, so that gave him a little extra, time.
So I think it's like this time next year. I think it's basically kind of the same timeline as Abreu, maybe even a bit longer, as you said, because he is a tad younger than Jose Abreu was. But at this time next year, if he's still hitting like this, I think we're having like the serious conversation of like, do we DFA this guy? Because that's what they did to Jose Abreu. Now, I think he eventually will turn it around. I
mean, I hope to God he does.
I mean, maybe this is silly optimism, but I think the combination of the slow start to the season because he missed spring training with the oblique injury, and just maybe the natural slow start that a lot of players have. Like, I think when we fast forward a month from now, I think, knock on wood, cross fingers, I think we're talking about Christian Walker starting to turn it around. Do you have any sort of optimism that, or are you fully just waiting?
I mean, I do, because he's always been a really consistent player, especially like offensively. And I think this is just a really weird first month for him. And like you mentioned, he did get injured, and obviously the oblique injury, when you're talking about in terms of swinging, is going to be a major issue, because you're literally turning every single swing. And I still think he's going to have a longer leash than Jose Abreu, but and again, I think it's just, no, I'm not even going to say, because of what this team is built around, that we're microscoping him, because 198 is just terrible no matter.
Yeah, 198 for the season, and then again 106 over the last 12 games. So let's get to some
It's just weird, because you think that if he could hit it in Arizona, going to a hitter-friendly park like Minute Maid,
I mean, Arizona's
Dakin or whatever. Deacon. I don't know.
Deke is a hockey term. What are we doing here? Cam trying to bring the NHL to Houston. Hopefully that'll happen here in a couple years. But let's end this segment on some of the positives real quick. Since we talked about the bad vibes from Christian Walker, Isak Paredes, man, that he's been better. I was pushing the let's have a little bit of caution on how much power we're expecting, like the ballpark factors thing. I was wrong. In May right now, Isak is hitting 289 with a 999 OPS, 7 home runs. 7 home runs so far in May is 162 game pace of 56 home runs.
So it's going to be him and Cam Smith with 50 home run seasons.
Dude is crushing it. Like, yeah. I mean, I would even say on the defensive side, like he doesn't have the range of Alex Bregman, but like he basically gets everything hit at. Like anything he touches, he's getting.
But that's fine because
I'm fine with
the Astros are arguably the best defensive team, if not a top 3 defensive
Certainly
team in the league.
Infield.
Yeah. It was crazy. Like I kept getting all these notifications every day. Paredes home run, and I literally was like, "Are these this old notifications?" But it's just like every single day, it seemed like he was dropping balls.
Yeah, like this. I don't know how many games he's played in May, probably like 18 or 19, but 56 home run pace if you went off what he's done in May. You mentioned Cam Smith, so really turning around now. The power hasn't come through yet. He's got 3 home runs in the season. But in May, he's hitting 314 with the batting average, 789 OPS. I mean, for a dude who was playing for Florida State this time last year, I will wait for the power. I'm fine with waiting. If you can hit 314 with a near 800 OPS, sign me up.
And not to mention, he's playing really well in the outfield, which is not his natural position.
No, the dude, he did start playing right field to like the last 3 games of spring training, something like that. Like, because they kept playing him at third. And there seems like there's a play every game that's got a low catch percentage, and Cam Smith is making the play. So vibes definitely positive for Cam Smith. One more before we get out, because I feel like if we don't talk about it now, we might not be able to talk about it next week, and that is Jake Myers. Yeah, Jake Myers, and I say that because he did the same thing last year. We know what happened. So just to make the point, Jake Myers this year hitting 309, 797 OPS, 126 OPS plus, just great numbers, especially considering what you were expecting from Jake Myers. Problem is, last year, after the same time point in time, 50 games, he was hitting 289, 849 OPS, and yet he finished the season last year hitting 219 with a 646 OPS, and became even worse than I think what our expectations were coming to the season. So I want to be very positive about Jake Myers because he's absolutely been Jake the Rake, Jake from Rake Farm, whatever the Astros want to put up the graphic for. But we saw this same script play out last year where he started extremely hot, and then he diverted to arguably the worst offensive player on the team.
True. I think this year's a little different because I think he's playing a little more consistently. He's not really splitting as much time as he was.
Yeah, I don't remember the game log there, but that could be true.
Last year. And also, in terms of defense, when I was here last night, they flashed something on the TV, and don't quote me, but I think it was talking about like run saved.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what it was. Either way, he's basically number 1 as like a center fielder.
Well, that makes sense. He's got elite range.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't have a great arm in center field. Well, I mean, neither is Chaz. You really don't have a center fielder with a big arm that would be available to you, but his range is elite.
It's crazy.
That being Jake Myers. All right, we'll go to breakdown on the other side of the break when we get back. Talk about Houston Texans and an injury that popped up for Joe Mixon, our concern there. And then I think we're getting gaslighted by the Texans on the state of their offensive line. We'll talk about all those things next on the other side of the break. Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5 as I try to come back in my James Hetfield voice while Metallica plays underneath me. Oh man, that kind of hurt. You were you transported there, Cam? You look shocked and amazed with my James Hetfield voice. Yeah,
It just came out so naturally.
yeah. No,
I was
I'm
shooketh.
actually. I don't know if I'm going to do the show the day I'm about to mention, but I'm actually going to the Metallica concert on June 14th.
Who? I'm
Who?
just kidding.
Who? You son of a!
I had to.
I know. I know what you're doing, but it's still triggered me.
Where are they jamming out?
I mean, take a guess.
Cynthia Woods Mitchell Pavilion.
No, it's the Energy Stadium.
Really?
Speaking of which, you know who else plays at Energy Stadium? The Houston Texans. What do you think of that transition there, Johnny?
A minus.
A minus. All right, I like that.
Wow, that's generous.
No, I think that was fair. If anything, he underrated me.
That's like a teacher at the end of the semester that's just like, I'm done with it. A minus.
Speaking of which, are you done for the year?
Hell no. We go till June 4th.
Oh my God. See, my wife's the teacher's done. My daughter, who's in school, this different school district, goes till Thursday. So I never know. Everyone's so different. You go to June 4th? Is that what you said?
Yes, but it's also HISD. And as everyone knows, HISD is hot trash.
You want to be careful how much you trash them?
I do not care.
Considering your employment? Okay.
Do not care.
All right. You do you, Cam. You do you. All right. So we're going to get into the
What, are they going to fire me?
I mean, possibly. I mean, that is the option. Yes. If you want to get on this Texans conversation, give us a call, 713-780-3776, or a text. That's how you can reach us on the HRP listener line. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Delmer here with you on the Bullpen. So this came out in this audio we're about to hear from Aaron Wilson. It was during like a YouTube stream right after I think he filmed a show for ABC or NBC. I don't remember which one. But a little surprise nugget of news came out about the status of Joe Mixon.
Had a few people ask me about Joe Mixon. I'll throw this in there at the end. So my understanding is it's nothing serious with Joe. It may cause him to miss a little bit of time in the spring, but it's nothing alarming. I think he'll be ready for training camp, maybe even ready sooner than that. But right now, I don't think he'll be doing any practices. And so it's something, but it's not anything real big.
Now, maybe this is PTSD from
last year.
Well, I was going to say following the Astros, and Kyle Tucker will be back 2 days later, turned into 3 months, and he has a broken leg. So maybe this is Astros PTSD. Christian Javier has a neck injury. Oh, wait, never mind. It's Tommy John. Justin Verlander has an injured neck. Oh, wait, no, it's Tommy John. Like, maybe this is my PTSD from all that.
Lance McCullers has a stinger in the arm.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, 3 years later.
3 years, flash
2 years later.
3 years later, yeah. So maybe this is PTSD from that, but when Aaron Wilson, as he lays it out, one, he doesn't tell us what the injury is. I think I heard that it was ankle, but he doesn't say in the report. But the fact that he says, well, I think, he won't be practicing, which I do not care a single bit if Joe Mixon practices during OTAs in June. Do not, or even mini camp in June. Do not care a single bit. In fact, I would ask them not to have him practice in June because he'll be turning 29 in July, and he's an older running back, and I want to save, all the reps and the hits that you possibly can for when it counts. But the idea of still an older running back dealing with an injury and I think being put into it kind of gives me a little bit of a pause and a cause for concern in the back of the mind. Like, I don't know, if Joe Mixon was 23, whatever, these guys will bounce back. But for 29, which will be next or in July, it feels like once a running back reaches that age, like even the injuries that should be minor cause even more concern than they normally would. But what is your thought over this little nugget of news that Joe Mixon's a little banged up?
'Tis a nugget of news. I'm not concerned because didn't this happen last year?
Yeah, actually, yeah. He had a hamstring injury,
and he came back and did what he.
And it was even later. I think it was like the second day of training camp or something like that.
So and that's the thing. Everybody talked like, oh, Joe Mixon's got all these injury issues he was with Cincinnati. So this is just something you're going to have to live with when it comes to Joe Mixon. But again, last year, same thing. He's hurt. He was ready to go at the start of the season and put in 1,000 yards. I think the only thing I think the more concerning thing for me is not so much Joe Mixon. It's just the fact that it's the running backs behind him.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
none of them make me feel good.
That's an interesting way to put it. Like, oh, hey, Cam, what running back makes you feel good?
If they were on a dating app, they would all be swiped left.
Hey, Johnny Belmer, what running back makes you feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah, what running back makes you feel good, Johnny?
Woody.
Oh, thank you, John.
Oh.
You took the low-hanging fruit and you picked that son bee right off the tree. Well done, Johnny.
Woody.
Woody Marks, the reference there, the Texans rookie running back out of USC. But I think that's kind
Mark it down. Johnny likes Woody.
I mean, we do. I guess we do have that on tape now. I mean, Cam's got a drop. I think I might have a drop about liking churros. I don't know if Johnny saved that or not, but
I need to grab it. But I do have a good Cam drop that it just sits there.
It just sits there. Should I introduce Cam Smith before you could fire this drop?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my co-host today is Cam Smith.
I am Cameron Smith, and I think Donald Trump is a fat ass.
Hey, look.
I forgot about that one.
I actually thought it was going to be the welcome to the show Cam Smith one. I thought it was going to be that one.
Oh, yeah, I do have that one.
Yeah, okay. But,
no, I don't want to boast.
Johnny decided to take things up a notch and capture you calling the president a fat ass. I mean, facts, but I mean, still.
See?
Yeah, I mean, facts.
What?
Yeah, I mean, facts. But anyway, okay. We gotta get off of talking about Donald Trump before we alienate half the fan base. But well, in Houston, probably even larger than half. But so Joe Mixon, as I struggle to regain control of the show here, I think that's the concern. It's not so much that it's May and he twisted an ankle. Like that's the concern. It's like. It's more projecting forward. Like if this dude does get injured, like we saw him twice have a horse collar injury that kept him out of games last year. If this dude mixes a game, I mean, hopefully Woody Marks is pretty good. We don't know. He was a mid-round running back. It wasn't like this was a day 1 or day 2 pick. I believe a 4th round pick for Woody Marks. But
they really reached for him.
I mean, but Dameon Pierce, we obviously no one trusts Dameon Pierce. So we don't want Dare getting a ton of work. Like. I think we all had a concern about the Texans running back depth going into this offseason. And so far, like the only real addressing of it that they've done is a 4th round pick. So I kind of feel like we're still where we were when the offseason began.
Yeah, it was really weird. Like I expected them to use a draft pick relatively high to get a running back. I did not expect them to go get Woody Marks, who is basically valued as like a 7th rounder. There were way better running backs in my opinion, and based off of some of these like draft like write-ups and stuff than Woody Marks. But I know that he's a little different in the fact that he's like an exceptional pass catcher, which is what they're talking about. Joe Mixon's not really known for that. So
I mean, he does okay on screen.
He can
does
do
okay
it.
on
They
screens,
don't do it. But for me, it was just kind of like you really went and got Woody Marks in the 4th round just because he's an exceptional pass catching running back. Like I don't know. I didn't like the move, and yeah, like I said, I don't care for any of these running backs.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I don't think running back really matters where you draft. I mean, running backs can be found kind of anywhere in there. You can hit on them. You can find a diamond in the rough.
Though.
The odds go down. But like we've seen, one of the best running backs in this franchise was an undrafted guy. So
True.
like
facts,
True.
like I just think for running back specifically, like I hold out that judgment until we get to see him on the field.
So, and like we're not relying on Woody Marks, but I think it just goes into the point of the concern of Joe Mixon, that if in the case
if he gets horse collared again
and he's out for a few games, you are screwed. Because
if you go into a game and your running backs are Dare, Dameon Pierce, and Woody Marks, I mean, CJ Stroud's gonna be passing the ball a lot.
Yeah, and people are gonna be like, "Oh, but Dameon Pierce averaged like 7 yards a carry last year." Okay, calm down. He had like 170 yards in one game, and that was basically 9/10 of all his rushing yards last year.
He averaged what'd you say? What number did you say?
7.3. He had 40 carries for 293 yards, and 176 of those came in one game, which means he was basically hot ass for 16 games of the year until that final game.
The term "hot ass" can be taken a number of different ways.
Trash ass.
That could be taken as a very positive thing as well. So I don't know how you're meaning it.
I apologize. Cold ass.
Cold. All right. We're done with this segment. Let's get out. Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. You want to join in the Texans conversation? Give us a call or a text on the HRP listener line 713-780-3776. Brian, Cam, and John here with you. When we get back on the other side of the break, we're going to talk about the Texans and their offensive line. And if we're being gaslit by Nick Caserio, don't go anywhere.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome to the show. We got about an hour and 10 minutes left here on this program. Cam, you in next week? I decided right now I just check live on air. Maybe I can put some peer pressure.
I'm always in.
You're always in. Okay, so we'll have a show next week as well. Right now we're going to talk Texans, and if we're being gaslit, I can't see. I'm never. Is that the right terminology?
I think gaslit.
Gaslit better than are we being gaslighted?
Yes.
Our gas is being lit.
Is the gas being lit? 713-780-3776. That is the HRP listener line. If you want to join the show, give us a call or text again, 713-780-3776. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you. So as I was able to tease there about being gaslit. Let's listen to this audio from Texans GM Nick Caserio getting asked a question by the most adorable fan and about the state of the offensive line. And one part of Nick Caserio's answer stood out to me.
So I heard her lady earlier ask about the offensive line protecting Stroud. Poor thing is just running for his life. So I'm serious. I'm sorry. So, but your first picks wasn't an offensive lineman. Please explain.
Yeah, I'm happy to explain it. Yeah, the draft it's an inexact science. So we rank the players, we stack the board, the players come off the board at different points. I would say we try to move around the board. We try to move up, I would say, multiple. I mean, look, you guys know us. We pretty much trade every draft pick that we have. So, but we try to move up and down the board. Sometimes there's a trade partner that works itself out. Sometimes there isn't. So the way it worked itself out, we ended up moving out at 25. We picked Jaden at 34, and then we picked Ursary at 48 or 49, who was one of the top-ranked tackles in the draft that we liked. So, again, it's never about one pick. It's never about one player. I think the offensive line in and of itself is about 5 guys playing as one. So, again, I would say for D'Amico and I, we're not concerned about it. So if we're not concerned about it, you guys certainly shouldn't be concerned about it either.
So that is the line that irked me. But before we get to Caserio, we got to talk about that fan question. Poor CJ Stroud running for his life. I mean, the only thing missing from that question was at some point for the fan to say, bless his heart, when referring to CJ Stroud to make it more Texan.
I remember my first drink.
That poor thing running for his life, and you don't draft offensive line. I love that. At some point, the people around start laughing. He's like, no, I'm serious, y'all.
Poor thing.
Poor thing.
Yeah, we got to keep that as a drop for CJ. Whenever we talk about CJ Stroud, he will be.
He had a couple shiners before that question.
Poor thing. Yeah, poor thing. But getting past the fun nature of the question that was, or how the question was asked. Look, I will start off by saying Nick Caserio and obviously D'Amico Ryans as well have no choice but to talk positive about their offensive line, right? Like, they get asked a question about, what do you think of the offensive line? They're not going to come out here and it's like, yeah, well, we like Cam Robinson, but the rest of these guys, straight garbage. Like, they have no choice but to say they have faith in their guys, that these guys can be better than what we saw last year. But I have a problem with the way Caserio delivered that message at the very end there, where he says, if D'Amico and I aren't concerned about it, neither should you. And maybe I'm reading too much into it, but it just came off very condescending. And I love the opportunity to ask the follow-up question to Caserio, who told us, well, we're not concerned about it this year, so you shouldn't be either. Like, well, were you concerned about it last year? Because I'm sure you would have told us you weren't, and your offensive line was terrible.
Or in case you forgot, the fans put money in your pocket, so the fans should be concerned. They have every reason to be concerned. It's their team. They're the ones spending a crap ton of money to put their asses in that stadium.
Yeah, the whole thing prior to the draft, do you remember the thing with Caserio where he kept saying, like, I don't even know what drafting for need means?
Yeah, see, I hate his responses to draft questions.
Like a couple years before that, he was asked about, like, what do you view your window? Like, we all know what window means in sports, like your opportunity to win, right? Yeah. And so he was asked a question like about their window. He's like, well, I don't even know what window means. Like, there's just been this track record of Caserio at times answering questions in a very condescending way that like talking down to us, like we're just, I don't know, a bunch of serfs, a bunch of plebes that don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah. And to add on to like his interview when they asked him, like, do you draft on like what needs? And he was like, no, we don't do needs. Really? That's funny because you went and got 2 wide receivers with your first.
And then what was the pick? Yeah.
100% reflects need.
Yeah. I remember I broke it down. It was right after the draft. Can you pull up their draft tracker? You'll pull it up quicker than I would. But like you mentioned, yeah. So Nick Caserio, who tells you we don't draft by need, and we'll get back to the offensive line part of this in a second. But their first pick, wide receiver, was that a need?
Yep,
that was a need. Their second pick was Ursary, the offensive tackle. Was that a need?
Yep.
That was a need. Jalen Knoll, a wide receiver. Was that a need?
Yep.
That was a need. Woody Marks, depth running back. Is that a need?
Yeah.
Depth running back?
Depth at running
Yeah,
back.
depth running back. I mean, so the only pick, I believe it's the only pick of the first 5 that wasn't a need was the
Jalen Smith.
Yeah,
the cornerback
the
from USC.
cornerback from USC, right. So yeah, this idea of, well, we don't draft for need. Oh, so it's just a coincidence that you're only drafting players that of positions that you need.
It's just asinine because unless your team is undefeated and you win the Super Bowl, your team needs something.
30 out of 32 teams usually have several needs.
Even Kansas City and Philadelphia have needs.
Yeah, I would say the Eagles have. Well, they would have had fewer, but they released a bunch of players and traded players away, so they created some needs for themselves. But yeah, I mean, there's very few teams each year that could truly say, like, we don't really have much that we need, so we're just going to draft like truly best player available. I think the answer to that is the middle ground that they don't ever seem willing to acknowledge, and I think it's in part because they want to try to maintain some air of unpredictability, right? They don't want teams to know what they're going to do. But the thing is, all these other teams can look at your roster and goes like, oh, well, they need offensive guard. Oh, they need wide receiver. Like, even if you say your BPA, your best player available, teams can still look at your roster and figure out what your needs are. Like, all the mock drafts list, team needs that all those teams can see them as well. So, I mean, I think the answer there, and we'll get back to the offensive line right after this, but you pick the best player available that fits one of your position of needs.
Exactly.
Like, if you have 5 positions of need, the Texans, I mean, offensive line, depth running back, wide receiver, and I would say defensive tackle. Those were their big 4 needs. Like, you're drafting best player available at one of those positions. If the best player available was a quarterback with their first pick, would they have taken it? Of course not. So you're not BPA.
Yeah. And sure, in the later rounds, 5, 6, 7, you're not drafting on age. You're drafting on best player available and depth. But those first 4 rounds, it's
at least the first 3.
It is all about need.
Yeah, 100%. So getting back to is that what he actually said about the offensive line. Do you actually buy into the idea of we shouldn't be concerned about the offensive line?
Hell yeah, we should be concerned about the offensive line.
I mean, absolutely, right? I mean,
they didn't get any better.
Right. I mean, look, I get the idea that, and I think Caserio says it in this clip. I think that we don't have time to play the D'Amico clip, but he says it as well. Like, there is something to sometimes the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, right? There's something to that with the offensive line. Sometimes it's cohesiveness, guys working together that can make an offensive line group more talented than the individual pieces would lead you to believe they are. But you can't tell me a Texans offensive line that was straight garbage last year loses its best player, has become any more talented than it was the year before. Like, you lose Laramie Tunsil, top 5 offensive tackle in the game. You replace him Cam Robinson, who's worse than Laramie Tunsil. You lose Kenyon Green, which that's a positive, but then you replace him with 2 offensive guards and Lincoln Tomlinson and Ed Ingram, who are as bad or worse than Kenyon Green, at least by the stat of pressures, one-on-one pressures allowed last year. They were as bad or worse than Kenyon Green in that stat. And then you've got, a rookie with Ursary, a second-year player, Blake Fisher, which we have no idea what he's capable of doing. He didn't play a whole lot last year. And then obviously Juice Scruggs and Jarrett Patterson, who I think are serviceable, but they're not plus starters. So, like, the overall talent of this offensive line hasn't improved. Okay, you did change out a couple of coaches, so maybe that is the unknown factor where you could improve, even though the talent of the offensive line didn't improve. But I don't buy this idea of, like, well, there's no reason to worry. We're not worried. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I think I'm just getting annoyed, I think, at times with the way Nick Caserio talks about things. Like, and maybe more so about the approach this offseason of how they address the offensive line. Not only did they get less talented as far as the players that actually make up the offensive line, but the changes they made for their coaching staff. You promoted from within offensive line coach with Popovich Jr. out there. Greg Popovich is kidding. I'm kidding. Cole Popovich. You promoted. Offensive line was terrible. You replaced your offensive line coach by promoting from within. That's a red flag to me. And then, okay, Bobby Slowick is the problem, and replace him with the Nick Caserio yes man, kind of in Nick Caley, who was a tight ends coach in New England under Nick Caserio.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know if you brought in necessarily new ideas, new people to reinvigorate the offensive line, or you just kind of ran things back with kind of the same crew.
A little bit.
All right, we got to get to the break. On the other side, we will have some leftover bits here. Maybe a little bit of NFL, maybe a little bit of the WNBA, because Angel Reese is certainly making some headlines for the wrong reason. That when the bullpen returns, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Welcome back into the bullpen. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer here with you on this glorious Saturday afternoon in the fair city of Houston. We're here with you for another hour. Back next week because we work hard unless our back goes out. And no, I mean that's look. It's a very small caveat. We work hard unless we can't get down the stairs. I mean, that's kind of a problem.
You were probably doing something very manly, though, like mowing the yard or building a fence.
Yeah, I mean, no, I was saving an orphan from a burning building next door. It was very heroic of me.
Should have went with mowing the yard.
Should have went with mowing. That was more believable.
There's no building next to you.
At my house? There's other houses.
There's other houses.
What do you think? I live at one house in the middle of a field with nothing around me? Where do you think I live?
I don't know. You might have some land.
No, man. I work in radio. I do not have land.
Facts.
Okay. All right.
We are peasants.
Yeah. Well, at least on this side of things, we are peasants. There are some people in radio who make money. They are not us. So anyway.
That's why we're here working on a Saturday.
That's why we're here working on a Saturday. Yeah. So the people who have land can work on a Saturday. No. They don't work on a Saturday.
I think he just assumes everybody over a certain age has land, you know?
Yeah, no, your expectations for me fell short there. I know I'm 41, but no, I do not have. Well, I've got a backyard, but
hey, that's more than I have.
That's as far as it goes with quote unquote having land. Like, remember? Okay, quick. Like back in the day, I mean, obviously there was a lot of problems back in the day when it comes to voting requirements. We actually had to like own land to vote. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that was still?
I'm not going to
thing?
say I remember that because I wasn't around, but
of course,
based on books, yes.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's just crazy. Like, I guess technically I would be able to vote because I own a house which has like, I don't know, is that like a quarter acre? I don't know what that would be. Like the average house, the size of a yard. Okay, we're getting far too off in the weeds. All right, Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5, 92.5. Welcome back in. One more hour to go. Coming up at 1:30, of course, will be Mount Rushmore plus one, and we will end the show with our worst people in sports and what we love from sports this week. But right now, let's get into some of these NFL tidbits that came out over the last week, get you guys' reaction to it, because I know at least on one thing, and we're going to talk about it right now, one of us, and I'm looking at him right now through the glass, is going to disagree with us here, Cam. But the tush push vote finally happened, and they needed 24 votes to get rid of it. They got 22. So tush push, sanity prevailed, and the tush push remains. One thing I was disappointed by, and I know somebody disagrees with me, Johnny Belmer, was that the Texans were one of the teams that voted against the tush push. Like, John, I will give you the floor. Like, my initial thought, I think, Cam, from what I heard you say during the break, it sounds like your opinion is at least similar. My opinion on this has always been, don't be soft, just stop it.
Yep.
Like, if this is so unstoppable, one, use it yourself. Two, it's just the play. If Derrick Henry is a 230-pound running back who's unstoppable from one area out, are we going to stop that?
Nope.
Because to me, in my opinion, the same mindset of this play is too unstoppable could be applied to plays far beyond just this tush push. So, my opinion, stop it. Second part of that is do it yourself. But Johnny, take the floor. Why did you feel the NFL missed an opportunity here?
Well, I understand where you're coming from. Like, anytime you walk on the field, it's just like when a pitcher gets mad at somebody hitting a home run. Well, don't throw a ball down the middle. You won't,
right,
get a home run blasted off you. I agree with that sentiment. My problem is the Eagles are very good at it. Not a lot of the other teams are very good at it yet, but they will eventually be as long as this play keeps showing success. I don't want all the teams, every time they get to 3rd and 2 or 4th and 1, anytime you get a short down scenario, doing the tush push every single time. It's just not aesthetic. I'd rather see, whatever else you want to put it. I'd just rather see it. Quarterback sneaks don't happen that often. The tush push happens a lot more than just like the regular kind of quarterback sneak. I just feel like I would rather see teams have to actually come up with a play instead of just pushing the quarterback over every single time, because they are going to get better at it. I know they haven't yet, but they will. It's just like I heard y'all talking about it earlier this week, sort of like a rugby play, right? They the way they do it. Other teams are going to hire people to come in and teach them how to do that well, and it's going to get better and better. And then that's what it's going to be every time you get a short down scenario. So I don't want that.
Not a fan of pushing the tush. Hey,
I do. Hearing John give his side of it, I understand his side more than I did before, he started speaking, because I do think it could get to a point, to play John's theory out, like if every team in the league gets really good at it, hypothetically, and the success rate stays at the rate it is now for the Eagles, which is like 95% or whatever it is, some absurdly high rate that they actually convert on this. Although Washington did stop them once during the NFC Championship game. Then it would get kind of boring that if every team in the league, whenever they get to 3rd and 1, they just do the tush push every single time. That would get kind of boring. So I get that, but I mean, it's a play. Like you could say to combat what John's saying, you could say same thing about watching the Ravens play. They get to 3rd and goal from the 1. And they're going to hand it to Derrick Henry. Like we know what's coming.
Yes, but then the other teams can go get a Derrick Henry, and then it's still enjoyable to watch.
But isn't that the same thing? That isn't going and getting your Derrick Henry the same thing as going out and learning the tush push?
No, because everybody's just doing the tush push. Like the tush push is come on now. Tell me, look me through my eyes through the glass, and tell me that you enjoy watching the tush push.
I don't find it boring yet. I see the scenario though where if every team does it would get boring. But right now I don't view it as boring because it's only one team.
And
like the Bills tried to do it in the playoff game against the Chiefs, they just sucked at it. They kept trying to run Josh Allen left. If you remember that, they kept trying to like have him take like a shuffle step to the left and then dive forward. and the Chiefs stopped it every single time.
See, that's the thing for me is I don't think this is going to be one of those things where all these teams are doing it. Philly does it a lot because they have an exceptional offensive line and Jalen Hurts has the capability to do it. But it's based on your personnel. Like there are certain teams that are never going to do
Like
it
the
because
Texans
they don't
will not be doing it with CJ Stroud. I can guarantee you.
Or if you have a big ass, long, slow quarterback, you're not going to do the tush
I think
push.
that's honestly part of the problem with Josh Allen because he's like Jalen Hurts can get low and push. Josh Allen's so much taller that
that's what I'm saying.
Same.
And that's why I think that it got brought to a vote because it's not something that the league is going to do. All these teams are going to do it. It's something that a couple of teams do exceptionally well, and that's why it got brought to a vote. If it was something where I think the league thought that every team was going to do it and be successful, it would have never been brought to a vote.
That's a fair point. And that is actually, that's interesting. So that's fair. Depending on the personnel, it's going to make a difference. What's going to happen is just like every other league, there are trends, right?
Yeah.
And so the Eagles do it very, very well right now. Another team's going to figure it out. They're going to do it very well. And then teams are going to start looking at their third down numbers and going, or fourth down numbers and going, well, maybe we should look at personnel to try to get this kind of success rate in short yard situations. And if they just allow teams to continue to do that, it will start trending that way because of the success rate. If you owned an NFL team or coached an NFL team or even was a GM for an NFL team, you're going to look at that and go, that is an advantage. I want to try to get that advantage. And then everybody's going to start to follow that trend.
I mean, I can see that, but you're not going to build and draft a quarterback
for one play
based on hoping that they're successful at doing the tush push.
And I would like getting back to the Derrick, like, because I made the Derrick Henry. We had the Derrick Henry part of this conversation. Like, well, isn't that unstoppable? Why wouldn't you ban that? Like, teams could see that Derrick Henry works, but there's only one Derrick Henry. Like, and that kind of gets to the point you had earlier, Cam. Like, I don't think it's as simple as let's just run the play and it works. It didn't work for Josh Allen. You have to have the right personnel to run it. So I don't because of that, I don't think it's going to be a situation to where it does spread out to, 29, 30 teams in the NFL. Everyone's doing it. Like I don't think Jalen Hurts is a very unique quarterback from both his, he's low enough to the ground to get leverage, and he's a guy that can squat like 700 pounds or whatever it is. Like there's not a lot of those quarterbacks. CJ Stroud's not doing that. Jaden Daniels is too slight a frame. Bo Nix is, there's not a lot of quarterbacks that can both get that low and be that strong to help complete the tush push.
Yeah. I that's why when it got brought to a vote, I was like, to me, I thought it was just, this is stupid.
Quickly before we go to break. So we know the Texans voted to ban it. I don't believe, well, yes, I agree, but I don't believe for anything from what we know of Tommy Boy owner, Cal McNair, that Cal McNair, the guy out there flipping burgers, throwing up the H, I've got the H-Town chain on. I don't believe he is coming up with the decision that I'm voting against it. So I kind of think, and actually I kind of hope this is true because I don't want Cal McNair making a lot of decisions. I think he probably went down to D'Amico Ryan's office and, hey, D'Amico, how do you want me to vote? Which I would be disappointed. I'd be disappointed from D'Amico if that is true, although I do want Cal asking, instead of making his own decisions, no, go ask Hannah, go ask Casario, go ask D'Amico. But if you had to guess who from the Texans decided they were going to vote against it, who do you think it would be?
Nick?
Yeah.
It's got to be D'Amico, right? The defense.
I kind of think John's right because Casario could have been lying when he said it, but he kind of leaned toward, like he had comments at the combine that leaned towards, I don't want to see plays banned. But D'Amico, as a defensive coach, is like, we can't stop that. I could see him. Now, I think it's soft if D'Amico did that because, I don't know, to me, there's an integrity aspect of this. Like, well, coach better.
That's what I'm saying. As a former middle hard-hitting linebacker, I would be upset.
I would hope
D'Amico...
he'd want to take on the challenge rather than run from it. But if I'm breaking down the odds of who would have voted against this or who decided to vote against this, it's probably the defensive guy who doesn't think he can stop it,
the
right?
thing is when the hell do the Texans ever face that? They don't play Philadelphia.
Yeah, once every 4 years. But he could be thinking like John does that, okay, maybe the Colts start running this with Anthony Richardson. Maybe
that's not happening.
Because he would have tapped out of the game. He wouldn't even be in. But maybe he could believe that other teams in the league are going to start trying to do this and trying to kill it before it becomes a problem for him.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, I think that is the interesting. I mean, we're never going to get the the true what happened there, the truth of who decided from the Texans to vote against it. It could all. I mean, I guess it could be Cal in the sense that it could be Cal deciding to vote with like his buddies, like whatever owners he's tightest with, he's got the best relationship with. He might have just piled on with them and said, "I'll vote how you vote." But I do think it's an interesting question or conversation to figure out who would have voted against this from the Texans. All right, on the other side of the break, we're going to get into the flag football being admitted to the Olympics, and also college football changing the not only the seeding, but potentially changing how many teams are in the playoff in the upcoming years. That and more when the bullpen returns. ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5.
This is the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios. Here are the producers of ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. Bullpen, ESPN Radio 97.5 with you here until 2 o'clock. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you. And we got to get into the college football playoffs here because some potential changes down the road look to be imminent, but a change has officially been made. And I think it's been universally liked, other than maybe from the fans of the teams that this would affect. I maybe Arizona State fans, Boise State fans wouldn't like it because it would have meant something different for them last year. But the college football playoffs have decided, starting next year, instead of the teams that, because the highest 5 conference champions will still get in, but those teams will not necessarily get a bye.
Yeah.
That obviously last year, Boise State, Arizona State, they would have made the playoff even in this new system, but they wouldn't have gotten a bye. They're now going to a straight seeding to where, okay, you win your conference, you're in, but that doesn't guarantee you a bye. Instead, we're just going to go straight seeding 1 through 12 and seed them the way the rankings do. I am a huge proponent of this. I mean, I like that teams get in because they win their division, but I don't think a team like, where was Arizona State before the playoffs last year? Like the 13th team in the nation, 14th team in the nation, something like that. And now you're given a top 4 seed. Like, I mean, Boise State was a little bit higher than that. They might have been the 8th or 9th team in the nation. And now you get a top 4 seed. Like, it will never happen in the NFL, but I would also support it in the NFL. Like, I would like to see, like last year, you had the 14-win Minnesota Vikings had to go on the road to face the 10 or 11 win Rams.
Yeah.
Like I let the teams in the playoffs who win the division, but whoever has the better record should get
As it should be.
the home game.
Yeah. No,
Or the home game or the bye.
I'm on board.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I'm trying to figure out what the argument against it would be. I guess some people care more about division titles than I guess we do. Like, what would the argument even be against it? I guess a team from a lower conference that knows, like, even if it runs the table, like Boise State, even if they run the table, they're probably not getting into the top 4 in the nation. Although Cincinnati made the playoffs a few years ago, so I guess it's hypothetically possible. Although, obviously that's rare. That's very few times that's ever happened. But like, I don't even know what the argument would be against it.
I'm not sure you could make.
But overall, I think that's a very positive development to have the straight sitting there for the playoffs. All right, so the proposed model for the 16-game playoffs, which won't happen next year, but I think we get it as early as 2026, maybe 2027 at the latest. But it looks like we're going to go from a 12-game playoff or 12-team playoff to a 16-game playoff. And I think what's causing the most controversy is not the addition of four additional teams to the playoff bracket. It's the idea of certain conferences getting automatic bids. Now, obviously, if you're a fan of an SEC team or a Big Ten team, you probably don't care because that's just helpful for your squad potentially. But fans of Big 12 teams, ACC teams, and certainly the teams that wouldn't necessarily win their conference, but be those next teams down, might not be as big of a fan of it. But the idea would be 4 SEC teams, 4 Big 10 teams, 2 ACC, 2 Big 12, 1 group of 6, and then 3 at large, making up your 16-game or 16-team bracket. What are your thoughts on that, Cam?
Again, I'm on board. You want to see the best product out there, and sorry, but right now the Big Ten and the SEC have the best teams in football, so it makes sense for them to have. And with all these teams changing in conference alignments, like obviously some of these larger conferences, it's going to require more teams coming from that conference into the playoff system. I mean, if the conference is 16 teams deep, it makes sense to have 4 compared to a conference that's only 10 deep. Like it just so.
Yeah, I kind of think some of the I get the sentiment from people who say because you're right. Like, I mean, the SEC and Big Ten, I don't think anyone would really argue with it, are the 2 best conferences in college football. There's really not an argument against that. But I get the sentiment that they still should have to earn it. Like, just because you're in that conference doesn't mean you should get an automatic, if there are going to be years where the Big Ten maybe only has 3 top 25 teams. Well, they shouldn't get a 4th team. Same thing with the SEC. Now, they far less likely, I think, in the SEC. But I get the sentiment of they should have to earn it. They shouldn't just be gifted it. I totally understand that. But I kind of think we're talking about whether or not we have this automatic or we don't have this automatic. We're kind of talking about the same result.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking 16 teams, how many times are 4 SEC teams not going to be worthy? I mean,
never.
I mean, just this last year. I mean, obviously you had Georgia, you had Texas, you had Tennessee,
Ole Miss,
Ole Miss, and Alabama just missed. Like you're going to have a bunch of teams up there. Same way with the Big Ten. Like, I mean, Ohio State's almost always going to be there. Oregon's almost always going to be there. Penn State's usually great. Michigan had a down year, but they're usually there. Like, whether or not they guarantee it or they actually quote unquote make them earn it, either way, I think you're talking about the final 16 team bracket, including 4 each from the Big Ten and the SEC. So I kind of think we're getting upset, or not us, but people who are upset about the quote unquote guarantee are kind of getting upset over nothing, because whether or not the guarantee is there, most likely, I would even put it like 90%, you're still going to end up with 4 each. So actually, this may come off as elitist from a person who roots for an SEC team, but I kind of think the bigger problem with the guarantees is for the ACC and the Big 12, because unlike the SEC and the Big 10, like I don't know it. Like I think it'd be far less frequent that you're going to have to reach for a second team from one of those conferences than you'd have to reach for a 4th team from the Big 10 or the SEC.
Yeah, especially with Clemson not being what it used to be. Because what is it? What Clemson, Florida State.
Clemson, and like Miami barely missed. So
Yeah.
I mean, with an expanded field, I think Miami would have made it. Like they would have been the second team, but Arizona State and I guess last year would have been BYU was the second team. I'm trying to think of who would have I mean,
and those two teams are not consistently good at football. So
yeah. I just like you're right. They're not every single year, but I just think that when you look at the Big 12 and what remains from that conference after Texas and Oklahoma left, and you look at the ACC and where they are now, like there's going to be I don't know if it's as high as half of all seasons, but there's going to be a fair number of years where there's only one team that really deserves to be in the playoffs. So I think the idea, if we're going to have a problem guaranteeing playoff spots over just making teams earn it, I think we're going to end up looking back at it and seeing more problems with the SC or the ACC and the Big 12 getting a second team versus the two power conferences getting the fourth.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
So, all right. So quickly before we go to break, let's talk about this flag football thing. Like there's starting the 2028 Olympics, not only is there going to be flag football in the Summer Olympics, but we're also going to have NFL players in the Summer Olympics to compete for flag football. Now, my first thought on this is I don't want to see a single Texan. I don't want to see a single Texan. Kind of the same thing I feel about the World Baseball Classic. I don't want to see a single Astro in that because Jose Altuve gets hit on the hand and busts his hand up. Jose Urquidy and I think it was Christian Javier both got dinged up this last time around. Like, I think it's probably safer than what the World Baseball Classic is. Like the World Baseball Classic, they're having to start like spring training early, like leave, like ramp up really quickly, then come back. You're adding especially for pitchers, you're adding on extra innings to their arms each year. Flag football probably safer as far as the concern about injuries, but I do not want a single player from one of my teams from the Houston Texans on the flag football team for Team USA or any of these other countries, because the idea of in July, Nico Collins twists an ankle and now, or hell, let's make it worse. He tears his ACL in July playing flag football against Sweden, and now he's out for the year.
Yeah.
I would lose my mind.
And just because it's flag does not mean injuries don't occur. Because I play flag football and there is an injury every single game, and it's usually something that's foot or ankle related.
Well, I mean, you are talking about like 30-something teachers.
Oh, right. These aren't teachers. Some of these guys that we play with are like semi-pro flag football players. Like they travel the country and stuff.
Wait, you could be a semi-pro flag football player?
I could probably not be.
No. I'm not saying you are. Like, I'm just saying there's a thing of making money from flag football.
Oh yeah, we have like 3 guys on our team that are on like a traveling team. They
really?
go to like Vegas and like
they actually make money with this. People pay to watch.
It's not their full-time job, but yeah, it's supplemental like income. But no, I mean, to your point, injuries can definitely happen in flag football, especially when you're talking about NFL players who already hella competitive.
Oh yeah, they're not going to want to get shown up playing France or Spain or whoever.
Exactly.
Like, just because there's not tackles, just because there aren't, the he got jacked up hits that we used to see on the ESPN NFL show, just because there aren't those big collisions doesn't mean you couldn't try to juke a guy and tear an ACL. Oh, yeah. It doesn't mean that you could have, the dreaded non-contact Achilles injury where it just pops while you're running. Mm-hmm. Like, just the idea of potentially losing. Like, I think if you're looking at players that could really be on there from the Texans, I think Derek Stingley would be like one of the top candidates to go on.
No.
What
you really believe that?
Well, he's got to play. You got to play defense.
Yes, but you really believe any of these NFL teams are going to let any of their actual the entire team is going to be nothing but practice squad players going to this?
And they still might win.
NFL team is going to allow any of their superstars to touch a flag football.
I don't want to make a bet for 4 years or 3 years from now because that's too far out. Yeah. But there's going to be a meaningful NFL player.
I guarantee you there will not be. Like they won't tell us they're not letting them go, but you're going to see that it's going to be all players. You're going to be like, who? Somebody then off
then why they vote to allow the NFL players in?
I think it's just because I don't know. I have no idea why. But it's not happening. There is no way it's happening. teams would, I bet you anything, owners, coaches, whatever, they're going to make deals with these players behind their back. I will give you an incentive bonus or something. Do not go play. I will give you money to not go play in this. They're not going to allow it. I promise you.
I mean,
I'm
couldn't
with
you say
him.
the same thing though about the World Baseball Classic? Couldn't you say the same thing about NBA players in the Olympics?
Yeah, but I feel like the World Baseball Classic has more. Well, I don't know what I'm trying to say. More meaning than flag football.
Okay, sure. Okay, what about
the Olympics.
NBA players in the Olympics? I mean, you could
Still
say
more
this,
meaningful.
they're both the Olympics.
Brian,
That's a fair point, B-Mac.
They're both the Olympics.
they're both in the Olympics, but Olympic basketball has been around forever, and we know how competitive.
I'll concede it's more prestigious. I'm not even talking about prestige though. I guess your argument is they allow them because it's more prestigious, and that's a fair point. But like the risk, like if you allow, let's say obviously Shingun goes to play for Turkey. Let's say Amen Thompson eventually plays for Team USA. That being the risk of that flag football player going out and getting hurt if you allow, let's say Derek Stingley, would be about the same, or even maybe a little less. But I mean, the risk would still be there, just like it would be for an NBA player playing in the
no,
Summer
100%.
Olympics.
But I think it's just one of those things where with the Olympics and the World Baseball Classic, those countries are putting out their best players, like the elite players. In flag football, it hasn't grown and hasn't built up enough steam to where it makes sense to throw out your best players. Like I like he said, you could throw out the practice squad players in the NFL, and they could still probably
they would
win
dominate the
flag
rest of the
football.
world.
Like
Yeah,
so, you
they
don't even
would.
have to put out the best NFL players.
I mean, could you imagine Derrick Henry ragdolling? I know it's
Well, I mean,
flag
it's
football.
flag football,
But
so
collisions are going to happen especially when you're at such a high, speed, like rate of speed and competitiveness and all that. Like, could you imagine if one of the superstars of the NFL, non-contact injury, goes out there and just tries to tears their ACL, tears an Achilles, whatever.
That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Like
Tyrod Taylor could go win you a flag football championship
exactly.
in the Olympics.
Josh Johnson, like there are
Mason
guys
Rudolph.
that can go do it. Yeah, Mason
No,
Rudolph.
No, he's not. He's not. He's not
now.
agile enough. You have to have an agile
I don't
quarterback
know,
in
like,
flag football.
I think we have
I'd
to draw the
sacrifice
line at
Davis
Mason
Mills.
Rudolph.
I'd sacrifice Davis Mills.
long neck Mills.
So Team USA will be Davis Mills throwing to John Mechie. Is that what you're telling me?
Sure.
And Dare
Come on, you can get there, Dare.
Ukumbawamba.
Agumbawale. There you go. Well,
He could be your running back.
It's not a Kumbawamba. Good Lord.
Dario.
I thought you were about to say Chumbawamba. You're stumbling on that so bad. All right, we got to get out. Enough flag football talk. When we get back on the other side of the break, it is time for Mount Rushmore +1. Don't go anywhere. Welcome in, Houston, to the best part of your weekend. Welcome in to Mount Rushmore Plus One, the sports radio landscape-changing, award-winning segment that'll get Cam, John, and myself, and Sean Mapes into the Texas Radio Hall of Fame one day. Far less than the 27 years it took the morning show to get into the Hall of Fame. That's I think my favorite bit that we do on the show. The guy doing radio on a Saturday afternoon is taking shots at the Hall of Famers who've done it for 27 years. I hope anyone who hears me say that line every week knows with how much sarcasm I'm saying it.
I thought you were being cruel.
Now I know you're using sarcasm
You
to
broke
talk
him?
about
Sorry,
my
look at that.
sarcasm. Yeah, but yeah. Sorry, I will stop breaking character. We will get in the Hall of Fame far less years than those bums on the morning show. Okay, character reinstated. All right, Mount Rushmore Plus One. Does anyone want to go first, or shall I? Sounds like I shall.
Okay.
All right. I was just waiting to see if someone wanted to jump in, but I will go with my list right now. So this was inspired by the Game 1 choke of the New York Knicks. I think it was 14 with 2:50 to go, up 9 with just under a minute to go. Something that had never been done in NBA history. Both of those situations, up 14 with 2:50 to go, up 9 with 55 seconds to go, and then lose, never done in NBA history until Wednesday when the Pacers pulled that off. So in honor of that choke job, my Mount Rushmore Plus One this week is the foods that would be most embarrassing to choke to death on. Like, if I die and you guys find out, like, oh man, B-Mac died. First off, probably a little happy. I'll admit it. Like, I especially after I nearly killed Johnny today, he might do a little fist pump. Like, God, finally that bastard's out of my life. But like this would, well, I could say that. It's Saturday. I could say that. Come on, right?
We don't think
I don't know.
of you like that.
Dump it if you want, Johnny. I know I'm playing on. It's the character. Okay. Anyway, back in character. But like, if you guys were to find out, like, well, how did B-Mac die? It's like, oh, he choked to death. Really? Like, what on? These are the most embarrassing foods I would hate for you guys to find out that I choked to death on.
I like this.
You right?
Let's go.
All right. So, first one on the list, and this is mostly because I hate the store. I feel like my soul dies every time I have to go inside of it. But if I die on Swedish meatballs from IKEA, I mean, dig me out of the ground and kill me again. Like, that would be very, very embarrassing for me. If headline, local weekend radio man dies eating Swedish meatballs from IKEA, that would be highly embarrassing.
But do you enjoy them?
I've never actually had them out of principle because I hate IKEA with all my heart and my soul. I cannot stand that store. But
Swedish meatballs are very good.
I've actually never had them either.
I'm sure they are. I can't eat them out of principle because I don't want to give IKEA more money than I'm obligated by marriage to give them. So that is the idea there.
I am curious to know on a scale of other countries' meatballs, where Swedish meatballs.
Well, next week, do a Mount Rushmore Plus One on meatballs.
I'm giving you the list. I gotta eat.
I'm giving you the list right now. You got a week to do the research. All right, next on my list of foods most embarrassing to choke on. If you find out I choked to death while eating at a Luby's, I would be highly embarrassed. Like I know B-Mac's the oldest guy on the show, but bro was eating at Luby's.
You wouldn't be the first person to die at Luby's.
Facts. But he died of eating the fried fish.
Oh, no, not the fried cod.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are all things like you initially would be sad, like, oh man, B-Mac died. How'd he die? Oh, he choked at Luby's. Like, there'd be a little bit of, yeah. See? Okay, you're making my point. All right, number 3 on this list, a gas station hot dog.
Oh, yeah. Choking on the glizzy.
Yeah, that's brutal.
That'd be pretty bad. That'd be pretty bad. Not only a hot dog, but bro got it at a 7-Eleven. Like, that would be.
Oh, even worse. I thought you were going to at least say like Valero or something a little more high-end gas station.
Wait. What?
I was going to say high-end gas station hot dog.
There's no such thing, Kim.
Is Valero a high-end gas station hot dog? Wait a second.
I don't know. I don't eat them.
No, you're a foodie. Yeah, you would.
I would rather eat a hot dog from Valero than a 7-Eleven.
I don't think there's anything on this list that you would eat.
Probably not.
Yeah, because you're a foodie. Yeah, I get it. All right, so IKEA Swedish meatballs, Luby's gas station hot dog. Next on the list, and I do eat this from time to time. Cam knows it, or I'm sorry, John knows it because it's been a topic on the show before. That there's a cycle of I eat it, I regret it, I forget that I hate it, and then I eat it again. it's Jack in the Box tacos.
Yep.
Well, like if you find out that I choked to death eating a Jack in the Box taco, that would be highly embarrassing.
The funny thing is some of these foods are really, I find really hard to be able to.
Hot dog,
on.
I think, would be easy.
Like the fried cod just like breaks apart. So
Well,
it's kind of
that's why I just said Luby's in general. I just was listing out of food, but yeah, I mean, insert anything from Luby's.
Oh, trust me, you could choke on those Jack in the Box tacos.
Oh, you could definitely choke on the Jack in the Box tacos. You could definitely choke on the meatballs and the hot dog. All right, number one on this list. Thank you, Cam. Foods that would be most embarrassing to choke to death on: Hot Pockets.
Oh no!
You find out I choked to death like on a lean pocket, like. There's going to be that laugh right there proves my point.
At least he was eating healthy. I know, but
the shame of it is like he was finally getting it together.
I do eat Hot Pockets.
Really?
I do like Hot Pockets.
You, the foodie, you eat Hot Pockets.
Yeah, I like to.
Why?
I like to drizzle some sriracha on there and dip them in ranch.
God. Okay, please stop. Well, do continue talking, but do continue talking and giving me your Mount Rushmore +1. I don't want to hear about this Hot Pocket love anymore.
Mine comes from me sitting at the bar last night.
Interesting phrasing.
Thank you.
Continue.
So I really honestly don't know how this popped in my head, but it did.
You were at the bar, so no explanation needed. Yeah. I can see why you don't remember.
Wax figurines in the house.
What? Okay. All right. This is really stretching the bounds of how random we like to get, but continue.
So if I was to decorate my house with some wax figurines, the first ensemble would be Berkman's Towel Hills Catch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Epic moment.
I would also have Pedro Martinez throwing Don Zimmer to the ground.
Oh,
so it would just be Pedro
excellent
Martinez with his hands on Don Zimmer's big ass head.
bald head and just chucking him to the ground.
Andre Johnson.
People are like, I've given that opinion before that I love that moment. Like, oh, he threw an old man to the ground. I was like, well, dude charged him. Like it's not like Pedro decked him.
Yeah, and
he just like sidestepped and like got rid of him basically.
And come on, let's be fair. If that was a normal person size head, he wouldn't have fallen like that.
And if
that
it wasn't like a
him.
75-year-old, he would. Like if it was another guy in his athletic prime, he wouldn't have fallen to the ground. Like he was just trying to sidestep.
Don Zimmer asked for it.
Exactly. All right, continue.
Andre Johnson throwing Cortland Finnegan.
Sure.
Definitely would have that. I would also have Al Pacino and Scarface.
Now, which part?
Say hello to my little friend.
Okay. All right. Good.
And then my last one, and honestly, I'm 100% real when I say I would put this in my house. I would get a wax figurine of Ken Griffey Jr. mid-swing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to go with Selena, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised you don't have Selena on the list too.
Damn.
He's thinking about it.
I mean, like, if there's one thing I know about you, Cam, is that you love Selena. But Ken Griffey Jr.'s swing was baseball porn. I'm with you there. It was
most wonderful swing ever. I still get on YouTube and just watch swings of Ken Griffey.
Well, that's an interesting way to spend your personal time. But John Belmer, your Mount Rushmore +1.
Yeah, Loki, you could do everything in your list in fatheads right now. You can order them online with like the big stickers and put them on the walls.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. And so mine is a couple weeks old. So it's inspired by the NBA's lottery being rigged. In my opinion, or possibly could be most likely rigged. People say it's not, but this is my top 5 or Mount Rushmore +1 of things that are most likely rigged, but maybe not in just everyday life. Number 5 are the claw machines at like you see them at like Denny's restaurants or arcades. Those are probably rigged.
Has anyone ever gotten something out of that? I've never seen someone.
Yeah, Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah, in a movie.
Fair,
in fact, he got 4 items.
Has anyone in real life ever got? I've never seen someone pull something out of there.
People say they have, but I've never witnessed it. So until it has, I see it. It's just.
Do you see some of the things that they have in those machines now?
No, I haven't been to an arcade in a while.
Expensive stuff like electronics and.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say there's a bar in Midtown that has, sex items.
Yeah, I was
various dildos.
I did not. Okay, all right.
It's really weird. I've seen people play it.
Johnny, I don't know if you knew where Cam was going. If you give me 100 guesses, what if we pause? If I hit the pause, it's like, what is Cam Smith about to say next?
I thought he was trying to figure out how to say it, without making me push the button.
Say sex toy.
The claw machines have really evolved.
All right, continue. They become a lot more fun.
Yeah, yeah. Different kind of claw machine, Cam.
Oh boy.
The number 4 on my list are MLM, the marketing. What is it called?
Oh, mid-level marketing.
Mid-level, whatever
yeah.
it's called,
Like
where
the
they
pyramid
like a
scheme
pyramid
stuff?
scheme stuff, where you
Oh.
think you're gonna get in and recruit all your friends and make all this money, and it's really the people.
If
at
we
was
the
that,
top
bring
like
making
you
all the
Vector,
in,
money.
the
and then
knife
you bring
company?
5 other people in, and then they bring 5 people in. It's like, okay, all right.
Absolutely scam. Number 3 is any sweepstakes. So if you write your name on a piece of paper to win something, like a truck or a vacation or
Yeah,
whatever,
or the ones they do online,
it's
like win a
rigged.
trip to the Emmys. You know,
Yeah.
like okay, yeah,
Which is
Yeah,
also
because-
probably rigged.
no one wins those.
No, and I've done that a few times. There's a little smoke shop by my apartment, and every like month they have like one of those like
Those
raffle
wheels,
things.
yeah.
Mhm.
And I swear to God, the prize that they were supposed to give away was still there like a month later.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, so
Because you just write your information down and they just never give
Nobody
it to
won.
anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I came across that. Took my daughter to an aquarium, not like the zoo or Moody or anything like that. It was closer to home, but they had someone out with like the big prize wheel, and there was all these different slots of the cities you can win vacations to. Like it was like Vegas, there was Orlando. I forget what the other one was, but they actually like the odds on it because of how many slices compared to how many were winners were actually pretty good. It didn't win. But I can't imagine there has to be 1,000 little asterisks and little caveats to make this completely like not the free trip that they promised.
Oh no, there's things because I know a
Like
girl
it-
years
I-
ago who won one of those, but in order to receive it, she had to go to Conroe for like an 8-hour
See, there it is.
like
okay.
business session. So like
Kind of like the timeshare scam sort of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry if
Exactly.
I gave one away
No,
there, Johnny.
no,
All right.
you didn't.
Okay, go ahead.
But right on the money, though. That's exactly what it is. They make you sit through the thing because they can try to sell you whatever they sell
Right.
you to give you a free thing. Number 2 on my list is either mobile or on your phone casinos.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
like the slot machines that you can pull on your phone. Like, there's no way those things are fair. Those are rigged to just get you to
slot
keep
machines
on.
in general, I just do not get the appeal.
Yes, but in person, you can kind of at least, you have like regulations and stuff that kind of make it seem where it's
I
probably
guess.
kind
are
of
you a
fair.
big slot guy?
No, not at
Oh.
all. Because
I thought you liked slots.
no.
You don't like slots?
Change the O to the U and sure.
Wow.
See, you didn't have to let everyone in on the joke, Johnny. We could
Hey.
have just kept it as it was.
Do you
all right.
prefer your slots at the corner store?
All right, hold on. Jeez. We got to get through the show. This show's got
I'm
to be...
being serious. The
Me-
slot machine's at the corner store.
Meet Gene's up next. We got to keep this show respectable.
Yeah, we
I
do.
apologize. No more slot
Come
talk.
on.
No, that was good though.
Talk about slots after the show.
All right, number 1, because we got to move quick here.
Yeah.
Store-bought hot dogs and hot dog buns.
Oh, that's
Why do you get
that's
10
that's
hot
funny.
dogs, but only 8 buns? So you have to buy 2 packages of buns. It's a scam.
Ah.
You
So
get ripped
how
off.
many would you have to buy for it to even out? I guess 5 packs of hot dogs. That would be 40, and then 4 of the hot dog buns.
Yeah,
That's too much.
yeah.
That's a lot
Mhm.
of hot dogs for me to potentially choke to death on, and for you guys to mock later on.
Yeah.
And this is why you go to Valero. You can
The,
buy
oh,
a
the,
single
The
hot
high-end
dog.
hot dogs,
The high
yeah.
end. The high
One
end
wiener
gas
per
station.
bun.
Is that your preferred ratio? All right.
I don't
all
know
right.
how to answer
We gotta
that
get
one.
to break. We gotta get to break. The show is quickly
Yes.
running off the tracks. All right, ESPN Radio 97.5 and 92.5. We will be back for our final segment in a minute. And then the Mean Gene Show follows us at 2 o'clock. Don't go anywhere.
Broadcasting live from the Veritex Community Bank Studios, it's the Bullpen on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5.
Welcome back in. Final segment today of the Bullpen. Brian McDonald, Cam Smith, John Belmer with you. Stay tuned because after us, the Mean Gene Show follows here at 2 o'clock until 3. So keep it here on ESPN Radio 97.5 now. But right now, before we get to the Mean Gene Show, we're going to end it how we always do, our worst people in sports this week and what we love from sports this week. My person, quote unquote, that I hated this week, the New York Knicks. And I relished, and that is a teaser to what I have next on the show, but I relished them losing the first 2 games of the Eastern Conference Final to the Pacers, because as I was watching game 1 and what ended up being the epic collapse, I think I realized in the moment how much I hated the Knicks. I hate how Jalen Brunson plays as a free throw merchant, the way he kind of leans into guys and draws contact and fouls, kind of James Harden-esque. Like it's annoying style to watch. I also found watching Karl Anthony Towns that he looks like a baby giraffe every time he tries to drive to the paint. I've never seen a more talented yet uncoordinated looking man in the NBA than Karl Anthony Towns. Like, he literally looks like he's falling down like an 80-year-old grandma who's trying to get by without her walker every single time he drives into the paint. And then beyond that, I mean, have you guys seen Tom Thibodeau recently? The dye job and the comb over.
Oh, yeah.
My God, bro.
Surge.
Let it go.
Yeah.
You're not fooling
anybody.
But that's what I hate.
We all see what's not there.
Yeah, we all see what's not there. So that's what I hated from sports, or my worst person in sports. Cam, what is your worst person?
I'm going to take it back to earlier when we were talking about flag football. My worst person is the flag football guy, and I should know his name because I'm bringing it up, but I do not. But there was an interview
because it doesn't matter.
Yes.
To quote The Rock, it doesn't matter what your name is.
He basically said NFL players haven't done anything to deserve to
Is this
play
the guy
flag
that
football.
said that he was better than Patrick Mahomes a while back?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I don't remember that. Again, it doesn't matter what his name is, so I
respect your passion for your sport that you play, but to say that NFL players hobby,
folks,
sorry.
Yeah.
hobby.
Yes.
But to say NFL players haven't done anything to deserve to play in flag football in the Olympics, that's just stupid.
I mean, it's a man trying to hold on to his job. That's all it is.
I get that.
Yeah, that's all it is. I don't begrudge the man that. All right. Enough of the anger sharks. We're going to go ahead and doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility. Yes, thank you, Cam, for the visual demonstration there. Doggy paddle over to the Sea of Tranquility and talked about, deep breath, what we loved in sports this week. What I love from sports this week, Cam, and I think I caught you off guard when I mentioned this a second ago, and I did say I was relish talking about this, but it was the Oscar Mayer Weenie 500. Yes, it was a race of weenie mobiles. We've all seen the Oscar Mayer Weenie Mobile. They actually raced these things, and Fox Sports broadcasted it live on their website in their app. The greatest spectacle, it actually happened at the grounds of the Indianapolis 500. So they had this race, and we have a winner. It was the slaw dog. So there was basically hot dogs that represented each part of the nation. There was a Chicago-style dog, a New York-style dog, a slaw dog, which apparently is a Southeast thing, Carolina-style. There was a chili dog for the South and a Seattle dog, which I didn't know Seattle had its own style of hot dog. That was news to me.
Interesting.
But apparently one of the hot dogs in the first lap started smoking and didn't finish the race. But the slaw dog comes out your winner. What'd you love from sports this week?
This
This
happened.
Just try to top the Weenie 500.
I won't. This happened a couple weeks ago. It's funny because it's also ties in with the worst person, but it was when Draymond tried to call out the refs about this point spread. I just thought not only was that super idiotic and another reason why I despise Draymond, but I also thought in that moment that's also super hilarious that he called out NBA refs for.
I mean, Draymond has a history of that, though.
Yeah, clearly they weren't fixing the spread. It's just funny.
He's also
that he
someone
said that.
who likes to call out fouls not being committed on him while he's kicking people in the groin.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty much par for the course for Draymond. All right, that'll do it for the bullpen. For Cam Smith, for John Belmer, I'm Brian McDonald. Thank you for joining us this week. Don't go anywhere. ESPN 97.5, 92.5 for the next hour. The Mean Gene Show has you, and we'll be back next week. Enjoy your weekend, Houston.